Hello everyone and welcome back. If you are one of those long-time subscribers who stuck around hoping that please will she just make more videos about life in Czech Republic, then this video is for you. Despite how much I've sworn off making those videos in the past, I just kind of keep coming back to it. You just gotta give the people what they want, as an old friend of mine once said. So today I'm going to talk to you about some differences between life in Czech Republic and life in Italy. Again, these are my own personal experiences. Maybe you've lived in either of these places and you've had a different experience. Your experience is valid. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to start off with the weather. When you think of Italy, you think of sun, sea, warm, maybe you think of the mountains, and yes, it's hot. We are on hopefully what is the tail end of this European heat wave, and it's been hot. In general, we kind of have a longer summer. We have a nice spring. It's quite warm. Summer kicks in and it hangs around until kind of mid-October, even in the last 2 years. Then we have a very long fall. I don't think we have winter, like a proper winter here, just north of Milan. If you go further north to the Alps, to the Dolomites, then you can have a proper winter. But here near Milan, I like to call it a very long autumn, a long fall, because it doesn't ever really get like properly cold. Although ironically, sometimes it feels a bit colder than it did in Prague because the humidity is a bit higher here, where in Prague it's more of a dry cold. You don't really know what that means, the dry cold and the dry heat, until you experience the difference between the two of them, and then you will really know what it means. So in general, the weather here is extremely different. Right now it's like there are thunderstorms kind of brewing around, but it's probably not going to rain here where I am. Now in Czech Republic, it's completely the opposite. It starts to get cold and dark from September, and then you're lucky sometimes if by April or May, in fact, in the last few years that I was there, it was getting warm. But then Prague has like 3 really good months: June, July, and August. And it's beautiful. You can go outside with your friends, you can go to the beer gardens, you can go to the park, you can kind of just walk around and enjoy the city. And yeah, it's a bit hot, you know, if you're in the sun and you're walking around a lot, but it's really not unbearable. I think there kind of the average was around 26, 27 degrees Celsius. Yes, every now and then Prague gets hit with these heat waves. Usually it was like once, maybe twice a year when the temperatures get up to 30. But in general, it was quite nice. So I don't know, I like the sun more in Italy. It's a tough place though. So I think the sun in the winter here kind of does it for me. It really helps to kind of keep my mood going. So now, instead of summer being my favorite season as it was while living in the Czech Republic, it's spring. It's spring, it's nice, it's warm, you can wear all the kind of cute clothes that you want, and the mosquitoes are not out yet. The mosquitoes. That's a difference, right? Oh my gosh. The second difference is the food, right? Would it be a video about Italy if we didn't talk about the food? Honestly, would it be a video about the Czech Republic either if I didn't talk about the food? Okay, and how much I dislike the food in the supermarkets in the Czech Republic. Maybe in the last 2 years it's improved. I know it was trying to improve in the 10 years that I was living there, but whoo, goodness guys, sometimes your vegetables are looking sad. Now, I have the opposite opinion. Here in Italy, supermarkets are fantastic. I in fact did a whole video about the supermarket that I prefer to shop at, and it's fabulous. I know that sometimes I would go to the supermarket in Czech Republic and just leave with nothing except disappointment. And now I go to the supermarket and it's just like you have tomatoes, choice of tomatoes, choice of meats, just choice of all kinds of things. It's borderline American, the amount of choice of food that you have in an Italian supermarket. But this is going to be really controversial, so please don't come for me in the comments. When it comes to restaurants, I much prefer going to a typical Czech restaurant and having the goulash, the zízek, the fried cheese, the svichkova, those kind of foods, as opposed to going to an Italian restaurant and having typical Italian dishes. Now, apart from pizza, the Czech restaurant will always win if I have to choose between the two of them. So, again, this is a personal opinion, right? But a lot of the foods that you can get in an Italian restaurant, you can make very easily at home. And they do it. People do it. It's very common. You know, I don't really see a lot. I really didn't even know a lot of people, Czech people in Czech Republic, who are making svichkova, you know, on the daily. Where here in Italy, people will make a pasta with tomato sauce or with pesto or, you know, a risotto or something like that kind of every day, or once a week, once or twice a week. So Italian restaurants are things that are more likely to be made at home, where Czech restaurants are foods that like speak to my inner child, my inner soul. All right, so again, that's really controversial. But then we come to the third one, which is the lifestyle, which might also be a little bit controversial because, as I spoke about in a previous video, there are all these like stereotypes on Instagram, on YouTube, probably on TikTok as well, about how Italians are more relaxed, Italians are healthier, they live a more laid-back lifestyle. Not in the part where I live. It's just as stressful as living in New York City. I believe that life was, if I had to choose the place where life was the most laid back, it was Ostrava, the third largest city of the Czech Republic. It was really laid back there. Everybody was calm, everyone was relaxed. They were really easygoing. It was nice. Of course, you know, there is that stereotype. Those of you who know Ostrava will know that people of Ostrava, they're always in a rush. So maybe Prague was more chill and laid back with their beer gardens and their castles and stuff like that. Here in this part of Italy, it's really stressful. There might be places though. I know when I go with family to Sardinia, we spend time on the beach, then things, yes, they are in fact more relaxed and more calm. But that's because people are there on holiday, on vacation. So they should be more relaxed. Something that I also find to be a little bit strange is that when I was living in the Czech Republic, there were a lot of like health food stores is not the right way to phrase it, but like little farmers market stores, or they used a lot of kind of tea to solve different problems of stuff going on in the body, a lot of natural remedies. And that stuff here in Italy seems to be really hard to find. So if you would love to correct me, I would love it. Please tell me your secrets. Where are you finding these natural remedies? Because, you know, I had Czech friends who, if you were sick, they would tell you, you have to put some rum in your tea. That's what's going to help you. And I don't like rum. And so the secret was, when you can taste the rum, that's when you're feeling better. So put some rum in your tea. Or take these different herbs. Ginger. You could get fresh ginger all over in Czech Republic. People will say you can get it here in Italy too, but you really shouldn't keep ginger in the refrigerated section of the supermarket. Why are you doing that? So if there are some natural remedies or natural kind of products and things like that, even in terms of like shampoo and body wash and laundry detergent and dish soap, it was so much easier to find more natural, less strong chemical, less perfumed. Everything here is perfumed, less of those kind of really strong, harsh chemical products, and a lot of the more natural and organic kind of softer alternatives. They were much easier to find in Czech Republic. Again, if you are from Italy or you live in Italy and you know where to find that kind of stuff, please let me know, please. I am dying to find out. Which then brings me to healthcare. Now, healthcare in Europe is free, meaning that it comes out of your, they take money from your paycheck to pay for public healthcare. And this is my message to Americans. You do not want public healthcare. I've lived in 2 different countries now. One of them had public healthcare, and the other one has actual crap public healthcare. okay? You want affordable healthcare, but not public. No. Because I actually just got off the phone with someone who said, I have to go and re-register with my doctor for certain reasons. And I said, okay, but I don't particularly like my doctor here, so I would like to change to a doctor in another place. Well, I can't change to that doctor in another place because I don't live in that region, you know, that county, if you will. I can't have them as my doctor. So I got really lucky to have a fantastic doctor when I was living in Prague. I didn't have an official doctor when I lived in Ostrava or Brno because I didn't really need to go to the doctor for anything. And if I did, I just kind of went to the emergency room and waited for an hour max, and then everything was kind of taken care of. But I ended up with a doctor in Prague for some job-related reasons and having to kind of, you know, you had to have a health form and stuff like that. So that's how I ended up with this woman as a doctor, and she was fantastic. Anytime there's been like an emergency or something that happened in the Czech Republic, I could still like go to the emergency room and, like I said, maybe wait an hour, maybe an hour and a half max. And the doctors all spoke English, which is great as a foreigner. Although, yes, it is good if you learn the native language of the people. The services themselves were great, like the hospitals were clean, the spaces were nice, my doctor's office was nice. And, you know, I've had friends who lived there and they had some major surgeries. The process was really good. The doctors they were with were okay. And yeah, overall the service was fantastic. Here I have experienced nothing but a nightmare, and it's really frustrating because I pay a lot in taxes, and so I'm expecting to have better services. Maybe there is a route to go private. Maybe that's something I should look into a little bit more. If, again, you live here, you want to give me some tips and tricks on how to manage the medical system up here in Lombardy, that would be great, because it's one of the things I'm really disappointed in. So there is that. And then finally, we're going to come to public transportation. And unfortunately, Czech Republic's going to take this home as well, because you just have a really good connected country. Lots of things are very well connected, either through trains or buses. They're usually on time. They run regularly, relatively frequently, where here it's a bit less so. The trains are always delayed. I haven't tried the buses, but I've heard they are always late as well. But I guess that's just kind of the problem that comes with having more people in a small space. So there are 10 million people, maybe 11 million people now since I last checked in the region of Lombardy. And there's that same amount of people in the entire country of Czech Republic. So you're working with less people, I understand, if you are taking the approach, like you're working with less people in a bigger space, or the same amount of, you know what I'm trying to say, okay? So that could be why the public transport is better in one than the other. So this video definitely sounds like I'm very much pro Czech Republic after all those years I spent complaining about it. But as I said in the last video, you know, the grass tends to be greener on the other side of the fence. So if you are looking to move somewhere, really do your research and look into a lot of different things. Things that you don't think about, things that you're not gonna see on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, right? So things like what are the taxes? What kind of services do those taxes get you? What, you know, if you're a woman, what's a maternity leave like in that country? That's an important thing that I'm considering now. Like, you know, did I make a good choice here? There's lots of different things to consider. The job markets, the transportation, the overall lifestyle of the people, you know, the state of mind of the people where you're going to be living. There are so many different things to consider, and sometimes those things are really hard to find out until you just kind of go there and live. So thank you so much for watching this extremely long video. comparing just the 5 quick things about life in Czech Republic to life in Italy. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. And until next time, bye.